Is the last Nintendo game of all time worth it? Paper Mario The Origami King is the final title on Nintendo's calendar. We have no idea what's after this, but this wonderful RPG is here, and we're going to talk about if it is something worth your time and worth your $60. Does it live up to the hype? I brought my good friend Gabe along for this monumental title. Yes, Nintendo will have more, maybe even a direct next week, Gabe.
Maybe.
Cross those fingers. Actually, I'm gonna origami fold my fingers into a hold here. But anyhow, make sure to smash that like button if you're excited about Paper Mario, and let me know in the comments down below if you plan to pick the game up or if you're gonna skip it, or if this video changes your mind, because we got a bunch of questions to go through, a bunch of topics to talk about. I just got off a call with Nintendo. I've been playing the game a bunch. Let's roll. And make sure to stay till the end of the video where we decide if this game is worth $60. There's been so much back and forth, but I'm gonna tell you the honest truth. Is it worth your cash?
Yeah, people don't know if you're telling the truth or not, but he was absolutely on a call with Nintendo. But yeah,
I was.
Zach, you know, like everybody else, I love Thousand Year Door, and when this first got announced, we all hoped it was a return to form of some kind, and this seems like it's something completely different. I haven't started playing yet. I'm going to probably soon, but in the meantime, I have questions. I know people have questions. And
let's do it.
Yeah, we'll get into it. All right, so first up, combat. This isn't...
Is Mario in the game?
Yeah, is Mario in the game?
Big spoilers. Mario, Peach, Luigi, Toad, Bowser, all in the first hour.
No.
Holy cow. This game got announced 2 months ago. A surprise announcement, and here it is. It really is like a quick lead up. And that might make you wonder, like, oh, is Nintendo have high expectations? I'd love to know what their sales figures are, but we're not talking about sales. Let's talk about quality.
Yeah.
Fire away.
All right, the first thing I want to know is about this combat, Zach. This whole ring-based combat system they have going on. I didn't know what it was all about. It's definitely not the traditional system that a lot of people want and love.
Right.
How does that feel so far?
So I think a lot of people look and say, like, is there XP? Are there serious RPG elements? Not the Paper Mario I want. And it's interesting because, like, when I was just talking to Nintendo, we were going over the whole franchise history, and Paper Mario, like, it has been so many different things, you know, since it started as, like, Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door. This is yet again another new thing, but the most important thing that you need to know is that no, the ring-based battles, the lack of XP do not ruin the game. Do they set it on a different course? Absolutely. But it like, honestly, straight face, it does not ruin the game. And there is still a lot to love here without those elements.
Okay, we'll get into that, you know, quickly. But I just want to say that the consensus and the acceptance that I've reached in my head is that this just isn't an RPG. Even on the eShop, Nintendo doesn't, like, label it as an RPG. They call it an action-adventure game, like an adventure game. So maybe go into it thinking of that, like, hey, this isn't an RPG, and then once you are aware of that, you can have different glasses on for the experience. Okay. And speaking of the optics of what you're thinking so far, what is your first impression? Did you come away, like, impressed? Did you come away maybe not liking it as much as you thought you would? Are you going to be playing a whole lot more soon? Well, what you're going to be doing there?
Sure. So I think the game does a really nice job of having a decently short tutorial, which is always a concern with a title like this. Like, are you going to be sitting for 3 hours learning about, you know, how to move left and right? And it has a decently short tutorial, so that's a thumbs up. And the first thing that you notice is the game is gorgeous. I don't care that we're not pushing Unreal Engine 5. I don't care that we don't have, you know, Miles Morales or Aloy or Master Chief looking all lavish with HDR. I care that they take what they do and they fully home run and hit their style to perfection. It is so crisp, it is so polished. The game looks lovely. The scale and scope of, like, Toad Town and Peach's Castle, it really is this remarkable world, and I think that Nintendo has done such a good job on Switch of hitting, you know, like a home run with the Splatoon 2 style, hitting a home run with the Odyssey style, hitting a home run with Luigi's Mansion 3, and now with Paper Mario Origami King, where it's just like, wow, this looks like what I envisioned that franchise being long ago. And that's the first impression. You also will be not impressed that it's insanely easy to start.
Look, you don't go into Paper Mario imagining Dark Souls, right? But some level of difficulty would be nice, and that's one of the things that I worry so much about. I remember specifically when Let's Go was being released, like, difficulty was a big thing that people, you know, wanted to know
about.
Yeah. So and here I haven't seen it a whole lot. I know some people, like, kind of just, yeah, it's Paper Mario and it's not going to be like super hard, but I don't know, maybe as the game goes on, you find more difficulty?
It has to. I mean, the puzzle elements of the combat are where I think you're going to find that more so than the actual combat itself, which might sound like a humongous negative comment. And I guess like a lot of this game is going to boil down to how you feel about the other elements outside of combat, which I hate even saying that up front because it sounds like I'm saying like the combat's terrible, you better like the story, but that's not even what I'm saying. It's just that it's better to be aware that this is not Thousand Year Door 2 than to go in and be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for these deep battles and my partners and all my weapons and my upgrades and my leveling up, and then it's not there. But it's so cuddly and cute that
okay. Hey, speaking of, right, you got into it being very cute. Cool. I don't think that's up for debate. It's a very nice, crisp, beautiful looking game. But Zach, nobody wants to hang out with let's say you can go on a date. You don't want to go with them just because they're beautiful and then they're not charming at all. So I want to know about the charm of Paper Mario. How charming is this? How cool and funny is the writing? And we already spoke about the graphics a little bit, but the overall package together, like how much love do you have for what has been presented to you?
It's very... I've been very shocked myself that I have fallen into the story and the characters and the writing so much. Because at first blush, like, hey, it's a really well-written game, but it's not fun. That doesn't work for me. Now, luckily, this game isn't that. I want to be clear that Paper Mario The Origami King is not a well-written game that is not fun to play. Nintendo charms you with what they do outside of combat. Luckily, there's a lot of interactivity and a lot of fun and a lot of action to be had while you're just running around, whether it's just hammering stuff, throwing confetti, finding toads. There's like melee battles that exist in the overworld. You eventually get different items that affect the overworld. So like there's a lot to do and see that make it fun. And that backs up my desire to go from town to town, place to place, character to character. The charm is over the top, but part of the charm is that what I'm doing between the battles is worthwhile.
Speaking of in between the battles, I noticed something, right? Because I saw a little bit of what you've been playing. You got to cover up areas with confetti, right? That reminded me so much of Astral Chain, where you like go with the lead. You got to go like cover up those areas. It reminded me a lot of that.
Same game, same exact
Well,
game.
no, of course not. But still, it had that similar element. All right, cool. But yeah, no XP. The battles are unique to say the least. Are you still having fun with the combat? That's my next question here.
It is the... Okay, I have fun with the puzzle aspect of the combat. I don't think I have fun or much fun with the actual combat. And we're talking about the rings. Okay, you can rotate rings and you can slide rings. And that part is actually engaging. And if they continue to build on that, I could see it being enjoyable. It's just that most battles are over in one turn. And it's more of like fulfilling a function than actually having like this back and forth. Like I don't play defense for 90% of the battles. Which I don't know how much of a battle it is then if there's no defense being played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So these... Combat is more like a quick little brain teaser that start off insanely easy but seem to be ramping up. And then you kind of just live for the boss battles, which are, it's like the inverse thing, like the enemy is in the middle and you have to kind of like maze your way around. Those are really cool. Thus far, like combat, again, it just feels like more like you're puzzle solving to then wipe the enemies versus actually having this intense back and forth.
So it's safe to say that combat is not the favorite part of the game.
It is not the favorite part, and I would almost say like...
Would you say it's not the even worst part?
No, it's not even that it's bad. It's more just like... It's not a focus, I guess, even though you'd expect it to be, which is wild. Like, you are totally capable, and I would almost say recommended, to not do a lot of battles.
Oh. That's surprising. Speaking of surprises, that leads into my next question here, Zach. What's something that you're really surprised about with the game so far? Something that has shocked you a little bit?
I mean, I think I'm shocked that I'm saying the things I'm saying and still having fun. You tell me that Paper Mario The Origami King does not have super intense battles, does not have XP, does not have progression, and yet is still really fun. I think then what surprises me the most is what they've done with the overworld. The fact that they're so engaging both visually and physically. Like, I think I might like the live battles, the real-time battles, more than the turn-based. There's these instances where you fight. They're spooky. These paper mache giant Mario enemies, and like they'll come at you, and it's not hard by any chance, but I just like the live action nature. And I think, if you do view this, going back to the eShop, it's an action adventure. This is Mario going on a lengthy adventure through the Mushroom Kingdom, meeting characters, solving little puzzles, and kind of just exploring this world. I feel like it's almost a juicy theme park ride. And that's not a game that Nintendo does often with Mario. Mario is either platforming to complete, skill-based challenges and reach the end, or Mario's doing a sport, or in the past, I mean, Color Splash and Sticker Star are weird anomalies, but Paper Mario was like in-depth JRPG-style battles. This, to me, is, in a way, building on or continuing. Nintendo took a linear story with Luigi's Mansion. You're like, wow, a linear Nintendo game is really interesting because they so often don't do things in that vein. I like current era Nintendo single player. And while this is not the JRPG that people wanted, I think it is surprisingly a fun romp with the Nintendo characters, which you just don't get very often.
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate that, right? At the very least, this is a different experience to what we get. All right, cool. So now we know something that surprised you. It sounds like you're enjoying the game, but what's something that's really disappointed you so far? I would also like to know that.
I mean, I think I went in knowing that the combat was going to be very different, so I won't allow that to be the disappointment. What I will say is that the difficulty, I did not know that most battles would have 0 defense. I did not know that most battles would have 1 turn. I did not know that, for me, the puzzle aspect is like 85% of the combat, and the actual combat is 15%. Mm-hmm. I thought it would be more of the other way around. Oh, do this little puzzle, and then you get into the battles. The meat and potatoes is rotating, moving rings and sliding panels, and I guess as a fan of Thousand Year Door, as a fan of Paper Mario 64, as a fan of Super Mario RPG, I won't be dishonest. Like, I do miss that, and I think if this game has the Thousand Year Door battle system, it quickly ascends to be one of the best games on Nintendo Switch instantaneously.
Because the story and the world is so fun, and because everything else...
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right.
Which is, it's a bummer.
Sure. I get it. All right, next question, though. Mm-hmm. Who is this game for, Zach? We know that longtime fans of the franchise expected a certain thing. Yeah. We know that right now here on SwitchForce, we have a lot of people that love Animal Crossing. Maybe an Animal Crossing fan, would they enjoy this? Is this for everyone? Is this for maybe not so many people? What do you think about that?
It's interesting. I do think it's accessible for everyone. Nintendo is assured that it's, hey, you don't have to be like super skilled. You don't really have to know tons about numbers and stats. At the same time, though, like, it is enough of a single player big adventure game that you probably do need to like RPGs or like adventure titles in this vein. To me, it does not feel as casual as some of the recent entries.
Okay.
But I do think that they're absolutely mass marketing this much more than the hardcore would like. And I think you do need to be careful if you are a big RPG fan and you love Thousand Year Door and you love Paper Mario 64 and that's what you want. Please watch the combat and ensure that the story and the world and the activities are going to be enough, because the combat will not be for you.
Which, that seems to be the main takeaway for a lot of people, but all right. That's a good explanation for who the game is for, but what about you, yourself, Zachary? Will you keep playing? Is it good enough for you to finish?
I sat there and I looked at the reviews and I was watching early gameplay and I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to like this. I think I've been waiting for a new Nintendo game. Animal Crossing's back in March. We know nothing on the horizon. Paper Mario is my holy grail, and it is going to be a cracked cup. I won't even be able to take a drink out of it. Yet here we are, and I'm really loving it. And that surprised me, but it's because of how well Nintendo has nailed the world, the story, the characters, and for me, that there still is gameplay to be had in that world. So I'm absolutely going to be playing it. It's over 30 hours long, so like, I'll say this. I need those puzzle elements to build on each other, because if it's still cakewalk easy 15 hours in, I feel like that's going to get tedious. The good news is you can skip over the battles, so I wonder if I can cut a few hours off and experience the story. The hard part also is as the story picks up, I wonder if the plot points are going to become more cliche and more obvious. Right now, it's pretty interesting. But towards the end, will it dip out? As long as they have some ramp up of difficulty at the puzzles and combat, I'm on board. But it went from like top tier anticipated to, oh my god, I'm going to hate this, to no, I really like this. And the elements that are successful are so successful, it outshines the disappointment.
Yeah, that's cool. Just a couple more questions here, but first I want to apologize for Mario on my roof. There's like construction going on, and I'm assuming it's Mario up there with a hammer doing his thing. So sorry. Outside of that, what's one thing that you wish you could change about Paper Mario? Excuse me.
Man, I mean, I guess the easy answer is to say,
based off what we've been saying.
to say the combat, but I'm not going to take the easy way out. Obviously, we'd all like the combat, or many of us would like the combat to go back to the 1,000-year door style. But I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that I wish that they were, it kind of goes back to the, I was going to say the difficulty, but honestly, like, the difficulty is just so tied into, I guess, the combat, and they're kind of one and the same, what they were going for there. Okay, so if there's one thing that I could change about Paper Mario, it would be that I think the confetti mechanic and the 1,000-folded arm mechanic are very interesting, and I wish they had expanded on those in more ways, because, again, as stands, the overworld gameplay and the out-of-battle gameplay is engaging, but if they could have doubled down and, say, given Mario, like, 6 different 1,000-fold abilities, or a bunch of different types of confetti, like, oh, you have to use this kind of confetti to make this happen, or this kind to make that happen, I think it would have stepped above its RPG roots and become a true action adventure title that could be appreciated. The repetition is a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, and thank you there for not taking the easy way out, because there is a very easy answer there, but
combat, yeah.
What about if you got an easy answer for this? My final question, Zachary. Do you recommend the game? Is it worth the $60? $60 is a lot for games, and games might be going up in price, but this one's $60.
Right.
What's your final verdict on that?
Again, the easy answer to say, well, if you're expecting a hardcore RPG, then no, it's not worth it. Maybe wait till it's on sale for the story. But I'm going to say that I think that their level of polish, their level of detail, and their overall fun and charm is enough to make this worth it. I don't think it's a game that, in spite of the combat, it's still fun. I think it's a game that just has a different balance than we initially wanted. But as I sat there and thought about Paper Mario and the different forms it's taken, this Paper Mario lives up to the name and the franchise in every way except what it was 20 years ago. And it's the best iteration since. So for that alone, I say it's worth it. The story, the world. Don't you want to explore all around the Mushroom Kingdom on the Switch with some cool, fun puzzles, interesting characters, toads to find, and just a beautiful world? Don't you want to see what happens as you pair up with, different partner characters and learn about them and meet Bowser Jr. and see folded Game Boy Advance SP Bowser? There is so much here that I think is worth seeing for Nintendo fans and worth experiencing for Switch players, and so much of it, it's worth $60.
I will note, though, that, historically, during the Switch's generation, the games go down in price a little more often than they used to.
Even first party.
Yes, so I'm sure at some point you will be able to get it for cheaper if you absolutely want to wait, but I'm glad that it's worth the $60. You mentioned that it's a very lengthy adventure, 30 plus hours. So yeah, that sounds about right. I definitely want to do all that. You were asking hey, don't you want to be able to explore this world? Yes, the answer is yes. It's so darn cute. I love Paper Mario, so I'm in.
I think it is not what the players wanted, but this might be a case of where Nintendo created something that is still super great and not oh, it's a bummer that the Origami King turned out this way, but okay, it's not the Paper Mario we want. It's still the Mario and Luigi franchise is really what you want, but even that has been canceled because of Alpha Dream having their, vanishing basically. I don't know when or where you get the Paper Mario that you want, but this is still a great Paper Mario game.
There you go. I'm looking forward to it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
It's super fun. Let me know if you guys are going to pick it up in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. All of Gabe's great questions. Gabe, I expect to see you. You're like the next Jimmy Fallon. Late Night with Gabe.
Yes, that is me.
Look for that.
People will see
your
me
local
soon.
TV. And until that time, everybody have a fantastic day. Make sure you're staying safe and staying healthy and staying smart out there, members. I see you. Appreciate you. Stay tuned for more Paper Mario coverage. We got the first hour and a half up on the channel. More fun coming. Thank you again. Until next time, for myself and Gabe, love you a lot. SwitchForce, out.